What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. I'm smiling because based off the title, it looks like we got some good news here. India and China reach deal to end border crisis. This absolutely sounds amazing. The tension has built for so long based on this border crisis, and it sounds like, all right, both sides have come together. They figured it out, which is absolutely incredible. So let's hear. Before we do jump in, though, if you happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to if you would like to support this channel while becoming a member, all you gotta do is smash that join button. Let's dive in. Headway in the Himalayas.
1,589 days, 21 rounds of military talks, 17 rounds of diplomatic talks, and finally India and China have clinched a border deal. It is a big deal. They're set to resolve the crisis of 2020. India's Foreign Secretary announced it today. He said both sides have agreed to a patrolling arrangement, meaning Indian soldiers can return to the LAC, that's the line of actual control, LAC. It's the de facto border between India and China.
Now, as a result of the discussions that have taken place over the last several weeks, an agreement has been arrived at on patrolling arrangements along the line of actual control in the India-China border areas. And this is leading to disengagement and eventually a resolution of the issues that had arisen in these areas in 2020.
What a day to announce it. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is flying to Russia tomorrow. He is attending the BRICS summit in Kazan. And guess who else will be there? China's President Xi Jinping. So clearly, this is not a random announcement. It is supposed to set the stage, perhaps for a meeting between Modi and Xi. More on that later. First, let's take a closer look at this deal.
Yes, that's what I want to know. How did the border get sliced up to where both sides are happy with it? I again very excited that this conflict has been they've come to reach a deal to end this crisis. Said over 1,500 days border conflict since 2020. Finally, they have reached an agreement. This is amazing news. Amazing news. Let me know how you guys feel about it.
How will it change the LAC situation, the border situation? Think back to June 2020. India and China clashed in the Galwan Valley. Soldiers were killed on both sides. After that, the LAC became highly militarized. China blocked Indian troops from certain points. India did the same to Chinese troops. What followed was a long diplomatic and military campaign. Corps commanders met regularly, diplomats kept in touch, even foreign ministers had a couple of meetings. So one by one, the issues were sorted out. In some places, there was disengagement, meaning the soldiers were pulled back, and in some places, buffer zones were created, zones which neither side could enter. By the middle of this year, only two issues remained, Demchok and Depsang. These are places in eastern Ladakh. Only their future remained undecided. But reports say that's not the case anymore. This border deal covers Demchok and Depsang as well. In simple words, it's like a reset. The soldiers will go back to the status quo before 2020. Which brings us to patrolling. Can Indian troops patrol the same areas as they did before? Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar says they can. He called this deal a good and positive development.
I think the understanding, to my knowledge, is that we will be able to do the patrolling which we were doing in 2020. I think it's a good development. It's a positive development, and I would say it's a product of very patient and very persevering diplomacy.
I would definitely say it's a step in the right direction. He said it's a positive development. It's a good development. So they're able. So I guess they weren't since 2020. They weren't able to patrol certain routes due to China, I guess, blocking them off. And so now things will go back to how they were before 2020, where Indian soldiers will be able to patrol these places. And they have this agreement.
Such deals often have multiple moving parts. It could be days before we get a clear picture. Having said that, two things are certain. One, there is political will to fix this relationship. Neither side wants to keep this issue alive. They want to move on, maybe focus on lucrative topics. The government of India dropped a big hint this year. They openly call for more Chinese direct investments in India. Beijing, of course, was always game. Secondly, the momentum for this deal was built in the last few months. Look at all the engagements. In early July, Jaishankar met Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Both men were attending an SCO meeting. Later that month, they met again in Laos. So 2 meetings in 1 month. India and China also have a special mechanism to discuss border issues. It's called the WMCC, the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination, WMCC. This group had 2 meetings in July and August. And amid all this, China started talking. Their defense ministry hinted at a breakthrough. They said India and China had expanded their consensus. Now, don't mistake this momentum for magic. This deal was not magically conjured.
Yeah.
It is the result of years of painstaking diplomacy. Only the finishing touches were applied in the last few months. Chances are they wanted it done before the BRICS summit.
Love that.
Much like we saw in 2017. Back then, China and India were locked in a different standoff. This was in Doklam. But before the 2017 BRICS summit, they disengaged. Prime Minister Modi went on to meet President Xi on the sidelines of that BRICS summit in 2017. So will there be a repeat in Kazan? I guess we'll find out soon enough. Prime Minister Modi is going there tomorrow. But the timing is certainly interesting. You had 4.5 years to hold talks to fix this issue. So why are you doing it now? Well, China is under a lot of pressure. That could be one reason. Their economic growth has largely stalled. Plus, they may soon have to deal with a Trump presidency in the US, meaning another tariff war. So it makes sense for China to woo India. Same with strategy. Beijing is facing pushbacks in the South China Sea. Filipino vessels are standing up to Chinese piracy. There's a standoff almost every month.
Dang. So China, the economy done stagnated. They said China might have to deal with another Trump presidency. And so that's not going to be good for China in the tariff war. They said, hey, Philippines starting to stand up against the piracy going on in the South China Sea. Pressure was on. The pressure was on, but no matter what, they done got the deal done. The agreement is made. They done figured it out before they meet at this BRICS conference. So this will be, and then you see China, India already calling for more direct investment from China, which China is all game for. So out of this, it seems like tension from being rivals or from being on the opposite side of each other. These two countries may end up working together a bit. This should get interesting.
So maybe Xi Jinping wants to focus his energy there, in the South China Sea. But for that, he needs a stable Himalayan frontier. Those could be his reasons. What about India? What are India's reasons? New Delhi's position has always been quite clear on this. Fix the border and we can normalize ties. Perhaps China finally listened to that. We will have to wait for the details to come out, for all the details of this deal to come out. But if this deal restores the pre-2020 situation, it is a win for India. No reason to reject such a deal. Yes. Also, it's the practical thing to do. We've seen 2 wars unfold in the last 3 years. No one wants to see more of that, especially not between India and China. We're talking about 2 big and powerful neighbors.
Agreed.
So both sides had reasons to clinch this deal. What's important is what comes next. We have disengagement, yes, but will we also have de-escalation? Remember, India and China have deployed more than 50,000 soldiers to the border. Will those troops remain there, or will there be a reduction in those numbers? That's one thing to look out for. Secondly, this deal, while very significant, is just a band-aid in the larger scheme of things. This border, the LAC, is more than 3,400 kilometers long. It is the longest unsettled
That's
border in the
crazy.
world,
Oh, wow.
not to mention poorly drawn. And an unsettled border is a recipe for disaster, especially between two military powerhouses.
Yeah.
And third,
Agreed.
the competition will only get worse from here. We are talking about two countries with more than 1 billion people each, both rising politically, both expanding financially, and both with geopolitical ambitions.
Yes.
So naturally, it won't always be easy. Foreign Minister
No.
Jaishankar highlighted this problem too.
Here is the challenge for us, which is that we are neighbors. We have unresolved boundary issue. They have been rising. We have also been rising. So if two large neighboring countries rise next to each other in the same time frame, it's not easy. There are very, very few historical parallels for that.
Yes, that's why I said this should get interesting because, yeah, with them working together, we know that India's economy is absolutely booming right now. It's rising at an incredible rate. Right now, they're focused on infrastructure, which is absolutely incredible. And the many videos that I get to check out, China, their economy has stagnated, but they are, I believe, the second richest country on earth. They have the second biggest economy, or do they have a bigger economy than the U.S.? I want to say second. I'm not completely sure, so please fact check me if I'm wrong on that and correct me. But yeah, it should be very interesting. China's already looked at as a global power, superpower. India's on the rise to becoming a global superpower. So, and these are neighboring countries. These are both countries with very strong military power. These are both countries with very high populations. How will they rise next to each other, right? The world, the world should get interesting in the next decade or so. I'm very intrigued also to hear how the U.S. feels about them resolving their issues between each other. That's also something that interests me. We're about to see some things shake up. That's what's about to happen.
Like all relations, this one is also complicated. China is India's largest trading partner. Bilateral trade is worth nearly $118 billion. And for Beijing, India is a key market. So both sides are keen to milk the possibilities. At the same time, major political challenges exist. China is set on toppling American supremacy on the world stage. They want to dominate the world order. But India wants to reshape it, to make it more just and effective.
Yeah.
You can see these different objectives at the BRICS too. China considers BRICS to be anti-West. India does not. How do you reconcile these differences? How do you work together when you're competing for the same things? Whether it's foreign investments or manufacturing jobs or leadership of the global south. That is the next challenge for this relationship. Of course, a lot will depend on China. Will they stick to their end of the bargain? Will they engage in good faith? Or will they betray India's trust yet again? The past, you see, does not inspire much confidence, but I guess we'll have to wait and see.
We don't know what's about to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. Y'all let me know y'all's thoughts on the situation. I am very intrigued to hear y'all's comments on this one. What do you guys think? Yeah. Well, I'm so happy that these two countries resolved this issue without having to go to war, without bloodshed. Of course, there were lives lost at some of these conflicts at the border, which is absolutely heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. They have reached an agreement, so more lives do not have to be lost. But, yeah, what do you guys think this means? Not just for India, for China, but for the world. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out the next one. I'll see you guys next time.